Yeah, now it is okay. Right, is it visible? Is it visible, students?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we will start. Anyhow, totally there are 36 minus 2, 34 slides are there. We will see. Mostly we'll try to complete today or tomorrow. We can share it up. My lectures are very small. Okay. Anyhow, students, today class is soil survey. So last class we have discussed what are the types of soil survey, what is the conditions of the soil survey, what are the different type of soil survey, which type of surveys or which type of soil survey is useful for which type of conditions. We have discussed all those things in the previous class. In previous class, you can check that video on YouTube in the last video. Now let us see today's class, that is soil survey interpretations. Soil survey, students, interpretations means it comprises of two things, students. One thing, our soil survey, and another thing is our interpretations. So best example, we have all type of collection, students. We have a wide collection of scientific data. We will have all type of categories. We will draw the map of that particular area. We will be much familiar with the conditions, so we will get all type of surveying data. We will draw the map by using now present trend is digital mapping. So we'll go for digital mapping, everything. We get all the data. Now we have to classify or interpret. We want to use how should we use that such soil survey data. So mostly, students, interpretations of soil survey data, how many types are there? Are five types of things are there. What are those? Very familiar thing is called land capability classification, very important and very common for everyone. And irrigability classification, which may not be known by the JRF students, but a set of students you are much aware of. And rice crop suitability classification, another important. And rain-fed crop suitability classification. This is exclusively for the rice paddy crop, but this is for the other rain-fed crops. And the another one is called hydrological grouping. Just this was mentioned by one of your senior in our discussion. So like this, we have all this type of different type of interpretations are there. Now we are going to check how these interpretations are there, what kind of interpretations are there, how we are going to use the soil survey data. Now we will see the land capability classification. What are the things based on which characteristics? Land capability classification, students, mostly we will collect the data based on these three features. What are those three features? Inherent soil characteristics. So one is called inherent soil characteristics, another one is called external land feature. That is what very important. We have discussed just now. Just we say the just if any farmer want to buy a land, what kind of characters we should see? We should see whether it is located in which type of topography, which type of land is located, what are the inherent characters. Inherent characters means mostly we will take as the agriculturist, we see what are the fertility status, like this. Another one is called environmental factors. So which environment is there, which climatic conditions are prevailing in that particular land. Based on these three characteristics, we will classify the land capability classification. So these are the three characters. What are those? Inherent soil characteristics, external land features, environmental factors that limit the land use. So these are the three things. Students, these two characteristics, inherent soil characters, external land characters, you can get the information from standard detailed soil survey. In detailed soil survey, if you go for detailed soil survey, you can get all these three type of information. Environmental factors we can collect from anywhere, from anyone data, from meteorology department, all we can collect them. So like this, students, this capability classifications were very important, very important important aspect of soil survey work, and it was closely related to soil correlation. Closely related soil correlation means this classification is very closely related to the soil characteristics of soil classification. So in this classification, what kind of information we will get? We get the what is the nature of the parent material. We will see in this classification. Before going to class, put any land under this land capability classification. In short, LCC. We should go the info. We should know the information about the parent material. We should know about the color. We should know about the texture, structure, and type of clay mineral, consistency. These properties, all you have mentioned previously. These are the properties. Premier permeability, depth of the soil reaction, and also root distribution of the depth of the profile. See, this is all these characters which are completely, this information was completely useful for crop, for plant growth, for crop management only. So that is very important in the land capability classification. So based on these characteristics, these particular characteristics are very important in LCC land classification. So we need all this information before putting any land under the classification. We will see how many types of land capability classification are there, what type of LCC use it for what type of purpose. We will see all this in coming slides. And next one, students, interpretation of soil irrigability classification. Just we have just our friend has mentioned about this irrigability classification, irrigation class purpose. So mostly students, interpretation of soils for land can mostly irrigation is primary important, primary concern. So if anybody want to introduce any land or alter any land of their water regime for irrigation, or we want to construct any irrigation for projects, interpretation, what kind of data we want to get, what kind of soil survey data we need, the area suitable for irrigation, whether that area is suitable for irrigation or not, we should check all those things. And also crops that may be grown, what kind of crops are growing there. So simply we can't leave the water like that, because horticulture crops need a very one type of irrigation need for horticulture crops, and one type of irrigation need for the field crops. Paddy needs one type of condition of irrigation. Tomato needs one type of condition. So based on that, we want to check that one also, and how much yield can be expected. There is the one calculation how much TNC is used. There is a particular classification is there. Particular irrigation project you are constructing, how much water will be supplied for the agriculture purpose, all those things, and how much yield can be predicted. So that we have to expect that, we have to calculate that one also. And water delivery systems, what are the how easy we can deliver the water system. Simply we can't construct a irrigation canal under gypsiferous soil conditions. If we go such type of gypsiferous, if we construct a irrigation channel in a gypsum content land, what will happen? Naturally all the gypsum will be dissolved. What will happen? The irrigation channel will be collapsed, and everything will be disturbed. And we have to check the very important, students, problem of drainage. This is very important. If you if you turn any land under irrigation purpose, very first we want to show much interest on irrigation. Or sometimes if we simply we release water, means what will happen? There will be irrigation problem, and there will there are submerged conditions will be prevail. Lot of problems will be there. And also if there is any special reclamation practices are needed or not, if the problem is there. So if there is any minor problems, what kind of reclamation we can go. So all those things we have to check all this. And also land development need, how should we have to develop the land. So all these characteristics we should keep it. All these characteristics were concerned into irrigation classification, soil and irrigation classification. We have to check all those things. And also students, for individual farms under well irrigated. So when there is a well irrigated, there is no problem. There is good irrigation is there. So there is no question of irrigation problem. But even though we want to, for the purpose of LCC, we want to interpret for the irrigation purpose. We want to see the properties, like what kind of properties we have to check. Even though the irrigation was well properly done for the individual farms, you have to check the availability of water holding capacity. This is what I asked. But if any farmer came to you and asked you whether I can buy that land, you should check this characteristics. What is the availability of water holding capacity? What is the effective root zone depth? Root zone depth means how much soil is there. That is important. What is the weathering condition of soil? All this thing you should know. And also infiltration characteristics are being concerned. And for the drainage, hydraulic connectivity of lower subsoils, depth should be at least 8 feet in criteria is very important. At least there should be 8 feet, should be drainage should be there. All these things. So for the purpose of soil and irrigation, we want to see all these characteristics, students. All these characteristics. Irrigation suitability classification, crop, all this, what type of crops, yield is there, everything. This is what should be concerned before doing all this. This is what done by in the present Indian government, because especially Andhra Pradesh in last 5 10 years, both Godavari and Krishna were connected and brought some land under irrigation. So before doing all these things, those particular surveyors should follow all these characteristics. Availability, if the irrigation is good, you have to see all these things. And before you go, if you want to bring any new land under irrigation, you should go all this category. You should check all these characteristics. This is the interpretations of soil and irrigation classification. This is very important thing. And another classification is called, students, rice suitability classification. Rice. We will check the previous. We will read separate slide is there for this irrigation classification. Before that, we will see the rice suitability classification. Students, rice is a peculiar crop. You can grow. It can grow in anywhere. It grows in submergence. It grows in very dry conditions also. If you give very limited irrigation, it can grow. So yield maybe varies. That is the greatness of paddy crop. So generally students, so for the soil characteristic for the rice, what type of characters we have to see to put any soil under this rice suitable, whether that land is suitable for rice or not. We have to check what is the slope of that land. Slope or topography, you have to see what is the land form slope of that one. Texture, what is the condition of texture, what is the condition of puddling quality, permeability of subsoil, depth of the subsoil, and is there any salinity or alkalinity problem. You have to check all these things. So for aim to gather any soil units or similar properties, we have to gather similar properties. So for growing rice or paddy, we want to check these characteristics very important. Students, all these slides and everything are important for the SRF students. So this lecture exclusively for SRF students. For JRF students, you also listen because LCC is important for you also. There is a one small chapter called LCC classification. So try to listen all these things. So slope of the land, texture, puddling quality, permeability of subsoil, depth of the soil, and salinity and alkalinity are important. So based on these characteristics, Paddy was grouped under four things. What is that? RSG or rice soil group 1 and rice soil group 2. Please note down all these things. Especially SRF students, note down this. Rice soil group 1, rice soil group 2, rice soil group 3, rice soil group. What is that? In first group, what they have mentioned? Soil will have very few limitations for the rice cultivation. Almost there is no limitations, very few limitations will be there. But we're coming to the group 2, rice soil group 2, there will have some moderate limitations of paddy, moderate limitations of for the growth of rice cultivation. And if we go to the group 3, there will be severe limitations is there. There will be severe limitations. And group 4, we can see very severe limitations. So please note down this. So right, very in group 1, rice soil group 1, very few limitations will be there. Rice soil group 2, there will be moderate limitations will be there. Rice soil group 3, there will be severe limitations are there. Rice soil group 4, there will be very severe limitations will be there. So these are the conditions which prevail for the paddy for the rice suitability groups. So these are the rice suitability groups are prevailing this. Another one called relatively suitable soils for the particular rain-fed crops. So in rain-fed crops, for estimation of suitable of each of a particular crop, what kind of properties we have to see? That is for paddy. Last slide we have seen paddy. But for particular crops, what kind of what kind of properties we have to see? So we have to see the moisture supply power of the soil, how much moisture it can hold. That we have to see, and also we have to check is there any erosion hazard is there any erosion hazard. We have to check all those conditions, and also physical conditions of the soil with regard to the aerations. Is there any aeration problem? Is there all those things? That means drainage conditions. Other toxic conditions, is there any other toxic elements are there like salts? Is there any problem? We have to see, and growth habitat of the particular crop. And if you want to check all these things, first of all, you have to know the what is the growth habit of the particular crop. Then we have to recommend. So we have after checking all these properties, then you have to decide what kind of particular crop is suitable for that particular. This is called the relative suitability of soils for principal rain-fed crops. What kind of rain-fed crops we have. So based on this also, how many classes are there? Very good conditions are suggested. Very good, good, fair, poor, very poor. So these are the grades were given. Very good, good, fair, poor, very poor. These are the conditions has been given. Another is important. Another topic is called hydrological grouping of soils, which is very important. This just we have seen. In hydrological grouping group, what they have mentioned: runoff from the rainfall, how much runoff is taking place from rainfall, and soil property that influence the infiltration, such as depth of water table, infiltration rate of the saturation soils, depth to very slowly permeable air. So that we have to see all these properties for hydrological grouping, hydrological water grouping. So based on these properties, students, depth of the water table, infiltration rate of the saturation soils, how much infiltration is there in saturation soils, depth. So which experiment is used for the calculating this infiltration rate of saturation soil? Any
Double ring
answers, students?
infiltrum.
What?
Double ring infiltrometer.
Double ring infiltration. Double ring infiltration. That is in field level. Okay, infiltration rate of saturated soils. Okay, we can use double ring, and we can go for Darcy's experiment also. Darcy's law, by using Darcy's law, we can check the saturated soils. Actually, Darcy's law is for unsaturated, but there is another experiment by saturating complete that column of soil with saturation. Then we will check the infiltration. That is one method is there. Anyhow, Based on these properties, depth of the water table, infiltration rate of the saturated salts, depth to very slow permeable salts, etc. Based on these three properties, soils have divided how many types? Four types: A, B, C, D, according to the runoff producer potential. Such as, according to runoff potential, there are four groups are there: A group, B group, C group, and D group. In A group soils, what is the conditions of hydrological grouping of soils? This is very important, students. Remember this classification for examination purpose. SRF students, especially I'm saying for you, this is very important for examination purpose. So in A, in group A, in group A, soils will have high infiltration rate and low runoff potential. So then there is a high infiltration, naturally there will be very low infiltration, low runoff potential will be there. And coming to the B, soils will have moderate infiltration rate and moderate runoff potential. There will be moderate infiltration rate and moderate runoff potential. And coming to the C, soils with moderately low infiltration, paka opposite to this. C students, moderately low infiltration rate and moderately high runoff potential. So you have to see all this, see the difference between these two. And finally, D students, this is very worst condition: soils with very low infiltration rate and with high runoff potential. So these are the conditions, these are the classification of hydrological grouping of soils. So hydrological grouping of soils A, B, C, D, we can see soils with, in A we can see high infiltration, we can see, and low runoff potential. But in B you can see moderate infiltration rate and moderate potential. See, moderate, you just remember like that. And C, in C you can see moderately low infiltration. Yeah, you can see here low infiltration, here moderately high runoff. So low infiltration is there, high runoff is there. Whereas coming to here in soils with low infiltration rate and high runoff potential. So like this, you have to consider these three factors in hydrological grouping of soils. This is very important for the examination. Not only this, previous classification also is very important for the examination purpose. This is hydrological grouping. And coming to this another, and coming to the in details of the land capability classification, so we have discussed about many things. We will see the inherent soil characters, external landforms, and external environmental factors. So based on these characteristics only, we will see the land capability classification. To be very specific, this is the ultimate object for the soil survey students. Any soil survey has completely stopped their idea from they need to achieve this land capability classification. This is the ultimate goal for every surveyor or any soil scientist. So based on this land capability classification, we will see. And very first one, so what are the inherent characteristics of the land capability classification? What are the characters we will see? As I'm repeating the same thing, please see it. Depth, color, texture, depth, color, texture, structure, consistency, permeability, soil reaction, paired material, root distribution. Students, please note down these properties. Based on these properties only, LCC will be classified. So you should know all these things. So based on these properties only, LCC will be classified. So you should know under which properties, under based on which properties the LCC was classified. Depth, permeability, soil reaction, parent material, and root distribution. This is what, based on these characteristics only, the LCC will be classified. Now we will see in detail about things. So external land features, students. So based on these characteristics only, LCC will be classified. Now we will see in detail about things. So external land features, students. These are all the inherent soil characteristics. So based on the external land features, what are the external land features? Slope, erosion, stoniness. How much? So what is the stoniness is there? And is there any salinity or alkalinity problem is there? Or high water table is there? Or high hydrological capacity is there? Or high hydrological capacity is there? Or high hydrological capacity is there? Or hard clay pan is there? So based on these properties, they are fused. These are the inherent soil characteristics. These are the external land features. So based on these characteristics, LCC will be done. LCC land capability classification will be done. So another one is called factors which determine the soil capabilities. What are those factors? Major factors. What are the major factors? As I said, same thing. Depth, depth of the soil, stoniness, texture and structure of the soils, permeability, extent of erosion, and susceptibility to overflow and flooding. How much conditions are so flooding? What is the flooding condition? All those things, and we have to see whether is there any toxic salts like alkali salts or unavailable chemical properties. Like we will see pH, GF, gypsum salts, etc., and severe climatic conditions. So these are the factors which determine the factors. These are the external land features. These are the inherent characteristics. So you have to know all these things. LCC. This is common for both JRF and SRF. So everyone should know all these things. So but I am giving information at SRF level, so just know all these things. So students, anyhow students, finally after knowing all these characteristics, after knowing all these characteristics, we are going to come with the beautiful classification of LCC, that is called the capability classification, consisting of the three categories, namely capability class. In LCC also there are three types are there, the three subclasses are there: capability class, capability subclass, capability unit. Capability subclass is nothing but just dominating factor. Okay. Unit means the what are this common units will feature. We will deal all those things. So capability class, capability subclass, capability units. So we will end. We will end this up to today. We will end up to here, and tomorrow class we will continue the rest all slides. So up to LCC is important for the JRF students, and coming to the up to LCCs. My God. Okay, up to LCC is important for the JRF students, and rest of there are many things are there. We have included many things which is for land irrigability classification. What are the criteria is there? We have discussed. We have learned many things. We're going to check all those things in coming class. How much time is there? Yeah. Anyhow, students, thank you, students. If you have any doubts regarding with this, we can discuss.